Triggers. We all have them. And we can sometimes identify other people's triggers. But that would be an awesome trait to have if you can actually identify people's triggers and avoid their triggers. Because that'll allow you to avoid, a lot of problems. Hello, and today's insight is going to be about triggers. So, as today I noticed two ladies in my family going head to head or just getting triggered by each other, and the way that they dealt with it wasn't necessarily the best, at least not in my opinion. And I see myself and my sister do this all the time, but I have to say that it's been a while since we have been able to talk about our triggers and to be able to say, okay, this has crossed the line, and putting up boundaries and stuff. So it's getting better for me and my sister. But these two individuals, not so much. They're family, so I love them. But it's their cross to bear, and I'm not going to get in the middle of it. But the trick here is to be able to identify anyone you interact with. It is a crucial component to be able to identify their triggers when they happen and to categorize them as triggers so that you can then be a better communicator in regards to you, so that the trigger that they noticed does not become a trauma. Okay? Because what are triggers? The things that you have set in place to keep you safe, or at least to let you know when you are no longer safe, and when it is time for you to leave the situation or the premises or the relationship because you do not feel safe anymore. And so if you can identify when other people are getting triggered and how to counteract their trigger, it is best for you, because that means that you'll be able to not only communicate with everyone, but you'll be able to basically be able to stop a problem before it actually occurs, or a trauma from happening, or something that can take the relationship to a bad place. You want it to stay safe, friendly, and amicable, or amiable, right? So being able to identify their triggers when it's happening and to characterize it as such, because, for example, I'm going to give you a situation that happened to me. You might not be able to see it as me noticing people's triggers, but this is how it just pops into my mind, so I must talk about it. So I've talked about it a couple of times before. I was in university at the time, and I had decided to go and buy something for myself. And when I got to the cash, they told me they don't take credit. Their debit card machine was not working. It's not operating at the time. And me having had my short-term memory being a bit wonky from time to time, I don't necessarily catch all the nuances, all the details that people mention. And I was also in a rush because I needed to get back to class and whatnot. So I had not registered that little bit of information that their debit card machine was not working, or at least their credit card machine wasn't working. And so when I pulled out my credit card, they looked at me funny. And I was like, I knew why that happened. And I just let it go, because I knew what had happened. But they did not take the time to understand what actually happened. And because they did not take the time to identify what had happened, okay, I was just like, I was evaluating the situation and I was like, am I going to meet these people again? Probably not. Is it like detrimental if they don't understand what my logic was behind what happened and whatnot? Probably not. And so because I was in rush, because it didn't really matter if they knew me, if I, it didn't really matter if something or other, I actually didn't take the time to explain to them what had just happened, which was me getting mad at myself because I let my short-term memory loss or fuzziness impair my judgment, if we can say, or impair my decision. And because the situation didn't really call for that much of a big hoopla, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was like these people, like these individuals, did not know me, didn't take the time to understand me. I didn't have the time and didn't have the time to explain to them and didn't actually need to or want to. So it was actually a conscious decision on my part to just leave. Let them just ponder or just imagine or whatever. It wasn't going to create that big of an effect on my life. And so why am I going to be late for class or cause more problems to myself just because I need to be right? So sometimes trauma is just a matter of knowing, is this the right time? Is this the right place? Would it be beneficial? I mean, it would have been beneficial, but it would have been extra. And I mean, it's not like I was expecting to see them or I was going to shop there more or whatnot. So it's really just a question of what are your priorities at the time? Is it super important for you for everyone to understand what you're going through, or is it not? And is it of absolute necessity for you to explain yourself? Because clearly you don't have to. People just don't want to understand. They just don't want to understand. As many times as you try to explain, if they have decided that you are in the wrong, you are in the wrong. But if they have decided that there is something underneath all of this that actually explains what is happening logically, they'll be open to hearing it. But if not, there's no use. So the question is, and what I want you to ponder on, is it worth your time? And should you waste more of your time trying to make everyone understand what is happening to you? Ponder that.